Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Energy Speaks Back, powered by B2B Energy. My name is Paul Webb. I'm the founder of B2B Energy, and I'm also your host. And I bring to you energy experts from around the world. Welcome, energy enthusiasts, to episode 169 of Energy Speaks Back. Our purpose, as always, is to provide a good understanding of energy management knowledge from around the world, which is available today for us to deliver savings that impact on our planet. This is part one to our special double-header episodes, where I sit down with the brilliant team of 21 Engineering, who are innovators, who are redefining how buildings and people interact through smart technologies, renewable energy, and lifelong learning. We delve deep into their origins, their ethos, and the cutting-edge innovation they're deploying, from smart sockets and solar installations to heat pumps and advanced monitoring, all aligned with a sustainable future. Please engage with the comments and don't forget to take part in the poll after the episode. Let's continue the conversation and keep driving positive change in this industry. So without any further ado, let's meet the team, Manuel and Varnon from 21 Engineering.
Welcome to 21 Engineering. Here is our building. We're just gonna show it to you how it works. I hope you enjoy the ride. Come with us. Right.
Good afternoon, Manuel.
Good afternoon,
How are you
Paul?
today?
Very good. Thank you for having me here.
Brilliant. And we've only just met,
Yes.
but I've got a lot of experience with your organisation. And I can see all the great work, and we're going to look at the property shortly, about all the great work that Phil Draper's been doing amongst there.
Absolutely, yes.
And have you been involved with that, incidentally?
In the design of the building per se, no, but I've been obviously taking some views of the management that has been taken off with the BMS, and obviously getting involved with everything in looks of training some more people that eventually when they come here, they know what everything that we have done in order to be an energy management building that is directed to that purpose.
Yeah, and getting a full understanding of the touch of it, the see of it, and how it actually works in real life, basically.
Absolutely correct. That's it.
Fantastic. We are gonna delve very deep into that side of it. But before we do that, can you give us some background and tell us about your origin story? What brought you into this organisation?
Well, quite an interesting story. I'm going to try to summarize it as much as possible. I am originally from Venezuela. My name is Manuel dos Ramos. I am a son of a Portuguese father and an Italian mother.
Wow.
As it happened, after the war, there was a lot of immigration in my country. And then, not to get into too much detail with that, but now the biggest exodus of probably a country will be the Venezuelans, even though it's not related to anything that it's commonly known. And then there's Venezuelans scattered all around the world. I'm actually here as Italian due to my Italian passport. And yeah, basically I'm an engineer by trade. I'm a materials engineer from a university called Universidad Simón Bolívar in Caracas, Venezuela. I got my early steps back there as well, engineering. But then when the situation got really bad in Venezuela, decided to move to another country. UK was the country that opened the doors for me because I got a connection that offered me a job as soon as I got here, and not long, 24 hours, I was already working. It was in a fish and chip shop. So basically, yes, I couldn't go into engineering straight away.
Yeah.
Then all the pandemic came on, and basically I just was more worried about paying the bills than actually jumping into the business again. Then, with the help of my beautiful and lovely wife, I was pushing to go back into the market. And then earlier last year, January, I started applying, got the opportunity with 21 Engineering, and here I am so far. It's been a great journey. It has little to do with what I did before, but given my engineering background, I've been trying to use that as an adjustment process to get me where I want to be effectively in the future. I'm still, and I will always be, in a learning curve, and effectively I can get a bit closer to where Phil is at the moment and be as much of an expert as I can be.
Yeah. So what degrees, have you got degrees in this subject?
Not in this subject, no. I'm working towards my CIPC application in order to become more official in a way, if that's a word that we can use. But no, I do not have an official degree regarding to this business per se.
Yeah, but you're in a transition process.
Yes.
To make that happen.
Absolutely, yes. I'm very interested and keen to do that, obviously.
And obviously, CIPC being a very good transformation process for that. I'm also a CIPC member.
Okay.
And so I'm a CIPC ESOS lead assessor.
Absolutely.
So it does provide a very good platform and sort of it helps you with direction, doesn't it?
Yes,
of CIPC.
Definitely. Yeah, give you the right steps on where to go, and yeah, with obviously the help of Phil and his mentorship, we are directed on where to go to the right steps, not jumping any of those steps, and basically be on that learning curve that I was mentioning before in a gradual way that you can obviously absorb all of your learning and be a part of it in a professional way. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I always, when I'm meeting with people within the industry, either I'm on site with someone or we're doing an interview as such, I like to know what's your bias? Is it electrical bias or mechanical bias or both?
Well, at the moment I'm more inclined towards mechanical. I've never been good with electricity though. Actually, it's a trauma that I have from kid. I always love to touch things and I got electrocuted as a kid. Yeah, so I think it's just got me a trauma. But if at some point it comes where I need to be involved with electricity, I love to. I'm not saying that I wouldn't, but I've been directed more towards the mechanical side of the business. Yes.
Brilliant. Mm-hmm. And what are the sort of projects you've been focusing on here?
Well, since I started, I've been more focused on the energy management of the buildings, basically learning a lot of what a BMS is, a building management system, basically looking around how the building is wired in terms of energy, heating, cooling, and oversee opportunities that could directly impact on energy savings, obviously identifying energy wastage as well, and then direct those buildings into those little steps that could become greater in order to achieve those savings. Then I've been doing a lot of energy recharges as well. I've been doing a lot of SECRA recently, and since the beginning of this year I've been obviously taking charge of programming various and different CPDs for our staff members. So I get in touch with the companies and see what they offer and eventually get them to come here and impart some of their knowledge to us as we speak. Basically, we try to get them in the core of the week, which is from Tuesday to Thursday, which is where the majority of us are here. So that knowledge can be delivered to all of us mostly. So yeah, that's very much what I've been doing. Obviously, I get involved in some stages of the design as well, design projects with heat pumps and such, but I've been more inclined towards the energy management using different softwares. Mm-hmm.
And when you done your training, did you focus on energy management? Was that part of your training skills beforehand?
No, not really. Everything that I've been doing since I got here, it's been learned here. I do always tell this story about a professor that I had in my university, Delia Gutierrez. She always told me that you might get a degree in materials engineering, but your life journey will take you to an electrical company. I never thought of coming to a place like this. But she always told me that your mindset will be directed to solving problems, even for yourself or for the company you're working for. And in that regard, then you'll make the adjustments needed in order to become successful over there. So I think, yes, my background has helped me to learn in a way that I can absorb the knowledge a bit better. Obviously, it takes time, it's not immediate, but yeah, I didn't have any prior knowledge before coming to this company.
And you seem to already be talking like an expert. How long have you been doing this training in the energy?
The continuous training since I started in the company was the 1st of February of last year. So it's been a little longer than a year.
Right.
And yeah, it's been jumping forward and back in order to, in a way, how can I explain this, baby? Recapitulate some of the knowledge that I've been given, let's say 2 or 3 months ago, and then to reinforce them with a new project perhaps, or maybe a CPD, or maybe just by talking to Phil. Actually, it's something that that's why I keep saying is continuous improvement, because it is basically he's my personal goal, trying to be as much closer that I can be from him. And yeah, basically since February last year is when all the training started.
I like the way you use continuous training and development.
Yeah,
I call it lifelong learning.
very well, good way to say.
I'm just letting you know, I'm 61 and I'm still learning things every day. I've just walked around the building with Phil and I've picked up new ways, new learning. And we get that through talking to people and listening to, and this is the idea of the podcast, to share this knowledge with everyone around the world.
Yeah, I do agree.
You know,
yes.
and that's perfect. And you know, even though you're on this curve for learning, you're also on this curve for educating, because people will listen to you and what you're doing, because you know there's lots of that we can always give back, and that's really great.
Yeah.
I've known Phil for many years, and one of the biggest things I see with Phil, what he's doing here, is the culture of learning and educating, and having trust and belief in someone like yourself that can come into the organisation and drive that.
Excellent. Yeah, no, that's pretty much it basically, because whenever you go to a new place, apart from the first impression that you get, it's always an unknown journey for the people that you're meeting. So it can go either way, good or bad.
Yeah.
And then it's basically given your background, your education from maybe your parents or wherever you come from, is basically showing that person that trusted you that you are capable of delivering and being a good person, and that the trust that was put in you is actually worth it. So definitely that is my main key, that showing that I am, even if I do not know the answer at one point, I will do my best in order to make that person proud. In this case, it's Phil. I unfortunately lost my parents a few years ago. And then I do see Phil also as a fatherly figure. I was trying to make him proud. It's something that I just, it's always in the back of my head whenever I do something, definitely.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Is there anything here that you're very proud of, particular projects? Is there anything that you could put your name to say, I did that and I'm really proud that I learned that? Is there anything there that you've done?
Yes, I think that one of my biggest skill sets is interpersonal relations. Even though I do not speak English as a first language, I try to relate very well with people. That's also something that came from my parents, that regardless of what you do, just try that people see you as a good person and someone that they can trust. So yeah, I'm gonna say that probably the project, or maybe the side of the business I'm more proud of, would be the work that I've done with my site visits and BMS review with different sites. I don't know if I should mention any particular buildings, but yeah, in Regent's Place, I go there frequently, once a week. I do a building review, visual observations of what's going on with heating, cooling, ventilation, and then I check that against the BMS I was mentioning before, the building management system, see how they correlate. And yeah, effectively the biggest part of that will be then at the end of the day sitting down with the technical service manager or the engineering in shift, basically tell them about my findings, and many times I do get the answer that I'm hoping for, in a way, because part of my job is identifying opportunities, but then it put them on a position where they need to, oh yes, I need to tweak in this and that, and then yes, they discover, oh yes, maybe I can do that, or maybe I can just make this modification, and yeah, that saves energy, which is ultimately our goal in this company.
Brilliant. Is there any particular BMS you like? Because you're working across many of them, and I know you use Niagara as the top end platform.
Trend. I'm gonna say Trend is the one that it's, for me, more user friendly, and when I see the graphics visually, I know how to direct myself very well in comparison
to. You feel more at home with that.
Yeah, so obviously when I go and sit in front of the main menu, I know where I'm going. Some other BMSs are a bit maybe out of date, without saying any names. And I think the easiness of the user interface is important for someone that is starting, and effectively so for someone that has a lot of years of experience, because the easiest of navigation, being able to put trend logs, which is basically the data over time, and basically identifying points and being able to locate set points easily to see what the temperatures or the pressures or any other value should be. I think it should be easily observed in a screen. So when you get that, then everything becomes more easily, and you're able to do your job in a better and more efficient way as well.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, You're already on the spot. Thank you very much for today. This has been very valuable to hear your story and where you've come from. It's a great journey. Is there anything that you can give back to someone who's listening to this today as like a takeaway?
Well, first of all, believe in yourself. If you want to be somebody that wants to go into this business, there's always going to be somebody that's willing to lend you a hand. And the only thing that you actually need is be interested in growing, in learning something that is of value, especially now in the world we live in, with the special interest of what the world is going forward in the next 10, 15, 20 years. So if you have already a mindset that it's directed to, oh, I want to make this planet better for my generation and the future generations, and you want to know where to start, this is the right place to start, energy management. And there's always going to be a pyramid of hierarchy that will lead you to where you want to be or where you can be. And then basically, don't be afraid to start from scratch, from zero. You get an history like mine, where it would take you from a country that is 9,000 miles away to a country that I never imagined living in before I was 30. Oh, I'm 38, if I didn't mention that. So yeah, it's never too late to start going on a new journey. I started this last year when I was 37. I'm currently 38, gonna be 39 soon, and I'm actually very proud and happy that I took this step. Never to learn whether you are 17. We work with people that are currently 17, 18, and I do get along with them very well, and I'm very capable, and I know that with my life experience, I'm gonna say that wherever they wanna be in 10 years time, they can weigh and grow beyond that part. So don't be afraid to give your first step. You're always gonna find somebody that's gonna teach you, that is not gonna be afraid or bothered by you asking questions, and basically just take that first step. And then it's a leap of faith, and then you'll be in good hands once you are caught, basically.
Brilliant. There's lots there for me to sort of feed back to you. You are a massive asset to this organisation, and well done. It's a great story. And I agree with what you're saying. Energy management, for me, it is like a pyramid as such. But everything underneath, electrical, mechanical, and all these different skill sets that you can gain. And people as well, that makes a big chunk of the energy management.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
So thank you very much for this.
No problem.
I wish you all the best working with this organisation. Obviously 12 months of employment, of learning. That's many, many more years ahead of you. So
hopefully, yes.
Congratulations. Well
Thank
done.
you, sir. Thank you for having me here, Rob.
Good afternoon, Varnum. How are you?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
Brilliant. Very well.
Perfect.
And how long have you been working for the organisation?
About 8-9 months.
Right.
Been working here. Yeah. So,
and what is your background story? How did you join?
So I graduated from Loughborough University. I did my degree in chemical engineering, and one of my favourite modules was heat transfer.
Right.
And I know that the design work here, it involves a lot of modifications to like heating and cooling.
So when you say, is that like thermal dynamics and things?
Yeah, thermodynamics, fluid mechanics, that sort of.
When I studied that, it's like another language. And you enjoy that?
I did.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm very impressed already. I think we should stop the interview now, because that is, if you've got that subject under your belt, that's very good. And then you graduated from the university there?
Yeah, so I graduated last year, July time.
Right.
Then started working here September.
And out of interest, do you live local to here?
I do. I live in Witham, so it's about 20-minute drive.
And originally you lived in Witham and travelled to and stayed up at the university, yeah?
Yeah, stayed up at the university during the studies, yeah.
Right. And what is your role here? What's your title and your role?
So my role here is Junior Mechanical Design Engineer. So I work alongside my line manager, Senior Mechanical Design Engineer, to create designs, so to help modify existing mechanical services so most of what we work on is like retrofit decarbonisation, where we modify systems to phase out gas and integrate heat pump technology.
What's your view on that as an in-depth question? Do you think the UK has got great opportunities to remove gas out of our properties?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah?
Definitely.
Oh, that's interesting to hear. I think it's a challenge. I see a lot of organisations that have been using sort of gas heating and even gas CHP, where we're using that for converting gas into electricity. So, and for us, it's, and what I'm seeing, it's quite a challenge. But to hear yourself say that, you know, it is doable, and there's the opportunities to do that. There's lots of technology out there. Obviously, it's not proven yet, is it? That's the issues, really.
Yeah.
And then when you left the university, was this your first job?
Yeah, this was my first job. First job related to like
this industry.
Yeah, this industry.
Brilliant. And how did you feel when you first started that job?
Quite nervous.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what to expect.
More nervous than you do right this minute?
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah, so you felt nervous a bit as a challenge for you, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about your studies and the transition from the studies to here. What was going through your mind regarding that?
What was going through my mind? So I just knew that my favourite module was heat transfer. Mm-hmm. So, because what I do now is like very related to that, I thought it would be a perfect fit.
Yeah. And did you try to look for other organisations? Was there other? Did you do any job experience first of all as well?
Oh, I did not.
No, there was nothing like that available.
Nope.
Right.
I did apply, but
yeah. But it was just nothing available out there. And then you found this organisation, which is just down the road, really, with you, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a very convenient travel.
What type of projects have you been focused on that you're very proud of?
So one of the projects that we were working on it involves detaching the domestic hot water generation from the main central plant. So we're using a water source heat pump to generate the domestic hot water as opposed to gas. So that's one of the things I'm proud of. And seeing it come to life, that was one of my favourite parts of it.
And where have you seen it? Have you seen it on a particular building?
Yeah, I've seen it in person. And
right.
Yeah. So.
And what building was that? Can you tell us what building it was?
It was 62 Buckingham Gate.
Right.
Yeah, so we've installed a train water source heat pump, and that's...
And what temperatures you're taking the water up to?
Taking up to 55, 60.
Right. Yeah. Because I've seen fields, and we're going to look. We are going to be going into detail and looking at the technologies we've done here. And do you use that as the guinea pig, as the experiments? Do you experiment on this and then take it into the building?
I believe so. Like, I think we've got Mixergy cylinders installed, and we use that technology in some of the buildings that we work on as well.
Right. And what percentage do you spend out on site?
I'd say like 20%.
Right. So it's not all just sitting trying to work out things. You actually go into site and actually implementing things.
Yeah, doing building surveys and collecting information, etc.
Yeah. So you've been here for 9 months. Mm-hmm. Do you think your job has evolved since you've been doing that? When you came in, you're doing different things every day?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. It's a variety of projects. It's always something different.
And do you think that will evolve over the period of time when you see certain projects? So today, you've been looking at domestic hot water. Are you going to get more involved with the heating side of that? Do you think that will evolve?
Definitely,
yeah. Where do you think? So at the moment, the big buzzword is heat pumps. Do you see other technology at the distance? Was there stuff that you was doing at the university that we haven't even thought of or dreamt of yet?
My studies were quite different,
right?
To
what you're doing now. Is more the science of it.
It's just the science of it, yeah.
Yeah. The organisation is all about learning. Okay. Yeah. What do you think? Have you got a training plan yourself? Have you got any visions of that training, of what you're going to be for your lifelong training, continuous learning?
I feel like in the future, I'd like to be more independent with the design work. So I work closely alongside my line manager with implementing, drawing the designs and etc. So
I'm sure Phil lets you loose on a couple of projects every now and then.
He does.
Because he likes to help people. That's a style of his, that he likes to help them train and learn by just going out to do it.
Yeah.
You know, one big thing I've noticed here is that it's there. You know, this is a battery, this is a heat pump, this is a solar, it's all on the building. You know, this is the smart technology, this is the metering, all to the standards. And that is amazing to actually, and for you guys to be training and learning on the real stuff, that makes a big difference. You know, rather learning from, we don't learn from books nowadays.
Yeah.
You know. So what's your plans for the future regarding do you see yourself as like a chartered energy manager or something?
Yeah, 100%.
Towards that?
100%.
Is that where you want to head to? Brilliant. Can I put you on the spot and ask you a question? If you think about someone who's at university today, can you give them any advice of what they should be doing regarding their future?
I'd say within what you're studying, like modules you're taking, I'd say look at which ones you enjoy or which one you really enjoy and try and hone in on that.
Yeah.
And then try and look for something related to that, I'd say.
That's a good point, because when I was at college and doing that, do you know, my biggest thing was maths and calculations. I love getting the numbers in the beginning, working out formulas and getting the right result and then checking it back. That's what I do in energy management. I love getting all the figures. I love doing all the savings and then working out what the savings is going to be. That's my passion. That was my passion many, many years ago when I started. And that's what I'm doing today, and I still like it, you know, playing around with Excel. I love playing around with Excel sheets. So you're right in what you're saying, is finding that something that you're passionate about. And when I look at people like Phil, I know he's passionate about what he does, you know, and your colleagues as well today when we've been talking, I can see their passion and actually following that passion through. And when you're at university, you don't really get that, do you? You're only got the books to really look at.
Yeah.
But if you can find a passion in them books, then the world is out there for you to go and explore, isn't it?
Definitely.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for that, Bonham. It's been really interesting talking about it, and it's great to see someone who's taken those steps from university and come into this. I'm sure your future here and the rest of the world regarding, and thank you for your beliefs on gasification going forward as well, and us transitioning away from that. Brilliant. I wish you well. Thank you.
Right, so these are our batteries that get fed from the solar panels that we just saw up there. They are 2 times 10 kilowatts, so we can hold a total capacity of 20 kilowatts that we can basically use any time that is needed and not to get electricity from the grid during those times. Right, so one of our main and key features as well is that we understand how much lighting actually can be a waste of energy. So Phil took a very good care of that and has implemented motion sensors that we actually reduced a bit further a couple of days ago, because we discovered at the time that it was the action before it was turned off again, it was a bit too long. So we reduced it to, I believe it is 1 minute. So if someone stays still, not moving at all for a minute, then they will go off completely. We also have installed dimmable lights. So in a way, when it's a day like this that is very, very bright outside, we just dim the lights. And even if we're using the space up there with our computers and such, we just get a nice illumination from outside, and there's no need to have the lights being as bright as they would normally be. And as you would notice, you'll see that there is no switches anywhere in the walls, as they have been removed because they are not needed. We do obviously have a smart control integrated in the phones. They're available for each one in the company if required. But yeah, in case we need to, let's say, turn off these lights at the moment because we're going to have a presentation, we can just go on our app, turn it off, and then we can have a clear presentation on a PowerPoint being projected on the screen right here. So integrated with the solar panels, we have obviously this Mixergy cylinder as well, as we talked about in one of our interviews. That is basically a smart cylinder that will that will learn over time, and it will decide how much water needs to be heated, because a difference and or contrary with other cylinders, this will hit the whole volume here. But in this case, there is a chance that this will learn that we only need to use this much, and then that's where it'll be heated. So that way we'll reduce the energy. That is also being equipped with a photovoltaic cell that converts the solar energy, and it's being used to make up for a little bit extra that we might need if it is a bright day as it is today. Well, basically, we will try to make understanding that this building, although small, it's trying to be as a showcase of what the company can do and what can be implemented on big buildings as well. Basically, it's just a 2-floor building, but it's all been done in a way that all can be presented. In here, we have over there on the very top, we have the meters that are basically accounting for the energy that is being drawn in each section and by each system that we have implemented here. So yeah, that's where they are located. They are measuring at all points in time within intervals of 15 minutes, and then we record the energy that is being drawn, measuring kilowatt hours, and yes, that is being all fed into our BMS system, and at the end of the day, we can account for that. Right, so in this case we have a regular toilet, but it's also being fed and integrated with a sink. So what it basically will and intuitively tell you that we're doing is trying to save the water and reuse it, as when we are washing our hands, this will fill up the tank, and then obviously that will be a bit saving on water. Then obviously we have this dual system here that will allow you to use half of the water if it's required, or the full load of the tank if required as well. But yeah, obviously it is important that we use this in order to save up some water. Basically, this is all action by time. As soon as you press it, it will start dealing with the water, then you'll wash your hands, it'll fill up the tank, and then you'll save some water by when you turn and flush it down. Since we are people that drink a lot of tea and coffee, we're worried about how much energy we use on boiling a kettle. So the primary disadvantage of a kettle is that you're starting to boil something. We don't have a kettle here, that's why. You start to boil a certain amount of water, let's say 1 liter, 1.5 liter, and you'll need to use that energy to boil that whole liter of water. In this case, we have a tap with a heater integrated here, and this will feed this tap right here. And basically what we are doing is that we are only gonna use the boiled water for the amount of quantity that we need, so for the amount of volume. So in this case, let's assume that this cup is, let's say, 150 to 100 milliliters, so you don't need to heat up and use the energy for boiling a whole liter when you could use basically just a fifth or a sixth of that energy. So this is only heating that what you're requiring by actioning this tap right here. Then you also have the normal tap of water. Of course, you can either have cold or hot water, but the boiling water will come out of this tap and use what you need for your tea or for your coffee. So yes, we have done a study of what it would do if we turn it on or leave it on standby. The difference is not really significant. So when you pull the graphics on the PMS, when we turn it overnight, we did that experiment a couple of days ago, a few weeks ago, and we discovered that the amount of energy being saved was not that great, and that meaning that having this at all times, it is more convenient than having the kettle. Even if you can actually obviously turn it off and you'll get some savings, that's for sure, but it's neglectable compared of what you'll save by using a kettle or not. Central deposit for a warmer that is inside. Once it gets full, it is being transported here. So it's basically, as I was saying before, just a site where nature will go its course and will degrade all those materials that are suitable for this, like the tea bags or banana peels, that can be degraded here into compost.
So here we've got a Weissman outdoor unit heat pump. and essentially it works on a refrigeration cycle. So it takes heat out. It takes heat out of the air, then compresses it and uses that to heat a hydraulically separate water circuit. You can see over here.
Yeah.
And that, I believe, is used to. That feeds into a mixergy cinders that are inside.
Right, we also have what it's called a pressure independent control valve in each of these array of pipes right here. So it's basically the three main areas that this building have. It's gonna be one for the upper side of the upper floor, one for this area, and one for the meeting room that we have down there. So every bit of energy that is being directed to all of those sections will be apportioned correctly. So in the case that they need to be done in that way, we'll know exactly how much of 1,000 kilowatts, for instance, can be determined. Could be 400, 200, but that way this could be used to determine exactly how much energy has been used in each of those sections. Yes, so we also have a Weissman domestic hot water heater that works in conjunction with the solar panels. So when we use the hot water in a hot period like this, we don't need to rely on the air source heat pump, but rather we can use this directly. So the air source heat pump will be only used when and if needed, which is obviously the cold periods. There is also been a smart water treatment system installed right here. So the key benefit of this one is that it is not like other systems that need to be fed with chemicals manually and every once in a while. This will be done automatically when and if required. Or BMS panel that it's fed with all the electric bits. Obviously it runs under their protocol, and it feeds all the data to our BMS system that we can see on our screens. So yeah, this is our bird feeder, and it's integrated with the cam. So it's got two purposes. The first one is entertainment for ourselves, so we'll watch a bird whenever it comes, but also it helps with biodiversity and obviously helps bring in birds around and just basically improving a healthy biodiversity around the area. So it's quite fun to watch. Eventually we get a few sights every once in a while, and we just replay it on the TV upstairs. As well, as part of our energy improvement and consciousness about the environment, we have the EV charging points that we have two of them, one here and one here, and we are basically encouraging our staff and our visitors to go and proceed and change to an electric vehicle that is basically being fed either off the grid or the solar panels, and it's been another step towards zero carbon that we'll try to achieve as a country in the next few years. So for this next part, we're going to talk about the array of solar panels that we have over that roof. Cannot see it from here, but we'll do that in a second. Basically, it is a solar array of panels that will convert some energy from a bright day like this into energy that can be stored into the batteries that we have inside. The batteries are 2 times 10 kilowatts, and then that we can use them as energy outside of the grid, and basically save some energy that is been already stored and being produced by the sun. Right, so as I was mentioning before, there is a solar panels that we have installed on our roof. They convert the energy into photovoltaic electricity that is stored in the batteries that we have down there. Again, 2 of them times 10 kilowatts for a total of 20. In a good day like this one, we can be producing between 10 and 11 kilowatts of energy. It can get as high as 13, and we have done about 5-6 kilowatts on days that are a bit more cloudy. But yeah, those ones allow us to take energy out of the solar rather than from the grid. Also have CO2 sensors installed within the several important areas of the building to obviously help us to monitor the CO2 levels of the building, that is measured in ppms, particles per million, and we try to keep it at a healthy level of less than 800 ppms. So in days that we cannot achieve that, we open windows and let some fresh air in, and even if it doesn't really help or do anything with the energy management, it's also for the well-being of the company and the staff. So high CO2 levels promotes drowsiness and basically not enough energy for people who's working. So keeping this monitor and reducing them as possible, it is good for your well-being and increase your productivity as a staff worker. As an energy management company, we are well aware and concerned about what our goals and standards are and need to be implemented. So we are aware that 14,001, which is environment, we are working towards completing all those necessary steps in obtaining that. And then also for 9,001, which is equality, so that gives us into the right direction and be certified of what we're trying to achieve and promote to other companies and to the world, actually. Right, so this is a journey so far. Now we need to be worried about the future, because the past is the past. Our goal in the future is to be able to get this building certified with these ISO certifications in a way that we can practice what we preach. So we are on a way that we are implementing every single steps, like monitoring every single parameter that we have in the building in terms of water, energy, lighting, etc. That will get us to have a completely integrated management system for this building and will make us worthy of the certifications that are capable of this building to achieve. So we are now at the moment undergoing studies and doing reports about everything that we can see around the building to make sure that we cover all those areas in order to obtain these certifications and keep using this building as a perfect showcase for what a building can do in energy management. I just want to say thank you for coming with us to this journey. I hope you enjoyed it with everything that we just showed you. And it's a never-ending journey that we'll keep just going through it. And again, thank you for us for being here in this energy management journey that never ends. Muchas gracias. Gracias por estar aquí y por acompañarnos en este viaje que nunca termina. Au revoir, arrivederci, ciao, ci vediamo dopo.
Goodbye.
Thank you to my guest for joining me today on Energy Speaks Back. I'm very proud and humbled to have the opportunity to interview energy experts from around the world, and I hope you found today's episodes of value. Don't forget to listen to the previous episodes because they are full of insights to help you make a real impact on energy efficiency. And remember, tiny changes that we make today can bring us profound savings in the future. Together we can drive change and make a difference. That leaves me with one more thing to say. Please, you and your family, be safe in these times.